Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, welcome and welcome to my sunscreen review series part 2. If you missed part 1, definitely check that out. I will link it down below because it is an orientation on sunscreen and some of the background information that we need to consider when choosing the sunscreen that's right for us. As I mentioned in that video, I'm doing this series because of my gigantic collection of sunscreens, and I want to show you guys how it looks on my skin, talk about the different types of sunscreens, what is in each one of them, which ones I like, which ones I don't, so that it can be a resource for you in order to choose the sunscreen that's right for your skin. So in today's video, we are going to start the reviews. I have demo clips, I have lots of information to share with you. So if that's interesting for you, please keep watching. Can I also ask you to help me a little bit by liking this video, leaving a comment below, and subscribing if you have not already? It really does help me a lot and I appreciate every single one. This series will be heavily veered towards Asian sunscreens with a particular emphasis on Korean sunscreens. I will have some Western sunscreens in here that are actually in my collection, but I have actually preferred over the last couple of years Asian sunscreens because they tend to be more elegantly formulated, and through my trial there is another reason why I realized I actually preferred them, and you will find out about that as we talk about the sunscreens that I discovered that I've absolutely been enjoying, and probably ones that I did not like. Now, Asian sunscreens, and in particular Korean sunscreens, have been heavily viewed, reviewed, researched, and talked about, especially in the last year. And that happened because the sunscreen that was probably the most popular sunscreen back in 2020 was the Pareto Green Level Centella sunscreen. I will include a photo in case you don't know about it, but it literally was everywhere. People were so obsessed with the formulation, how the sunscreen wore, how it looked. It totally broke barriers. People were buying backups, and it was literally viral. What happened that created a huge stir and a huge disappointment is that that particular sunscreen was taken by someone and sent to be independently tested, and unfortunately that sunscreen was actually tested to have an SPF that was much lower than what was written on the tube, and all hell broke loose in the sunscreen world, in the Korean sunscreen world. It was a huge mess. You can imagine that people were severely disappointed. Pareto took a huge hit in terms of the things that people said about the brand. People started to not trust the brand, and you could understand that sunscreen is a really important thing in skincare, and I completely understood that a lot of people were angry. I chose not to make any public comment about this because I wanted to look on and see what would happen, how the brand would respond, what would happen in terms of testing and so on. And Pareto did respond quickly. They did advise that they will do independent testing. They pulled the products from the market, and then they headed into reformulation. Because that happened, a lot of brands started to get hit, and a lot of brands on their own actually decided to pull their products off the market and either reformulate or retest to ensure that their products met the standard. There were a lot of reasons for how this could have happened. There are actually quite a lot of videos on YouTube. There is no end to it. I'm sure you could find it. I can actually list a couple in the comments down below so you could read about how that happens, how testing happens, what could have happened, because it turned out that it wasn't a Pareto specific issue. It was a particular manufacturing issue, and the way people exploded in anger about it, you would swear that this type of thing never happened in the skincare world. But the truth is, SPF testing below what is on the tube was not new, and this has happened to many Western brands. Big brands like Banana Boat and Neutrogena that a lot of us have used over the years have actually had some of their sunscreens test below the SPF on the label. So this is definitely a concern. It is something that is being worked on, and I think now though that because of the changes, because of this particular what is called in the skincare world a scandal, a lot of things are being done differently. The Korean FDA actually got involved. There has been a lot of reformulations. Brands who are actually relaunching their sunscreens now are ensuring that they put out not only their testing but independent testing as well to verify the SPF. So at the end, this entire thing brought actually great results for us as consumers because we are actually getting better sunscreens and sunscreens that will work even better on our skin. I said all that to bring you up to date if you did not know about it, but also to go right into the first review because Pareto went back to the drawing board and they are actually working on a couple sunscreens, but they have released the first one out of those sunscreens and it has been around for a couple months, maybe 2 or 3 months already. The reviews are actually already there. People love it. And it is this one. This is the Pareto Daily Go-To Sunscreen, Broad Spectrum SPF 50+, PA+++++, and this sunscreen of course has been independently verified, so you could absolutely be sure that you are getting SPF 50. Now for all of these sunscreens that I'm going to review, I do have the information in terms of the claims by the brand that I do want to read for you, and then we will go into the demos and my experiences with each one, and we'll talk about who it's recommended for and that kind of thing. So the Pareto Daily Go-To Sunscreen is their new unscented hybrid sunscreen, and that means that it combines both physical and chemical sunscreen filters to protect your skin from UV rays. Now a lot of these Korean and Asian sunscreens, these Japanese sunscreens, you will realize that they are not just focused on just the sunscreen filters, but they tend to have a lot of additional ingredients that are good for the skin, and it's one of the reasons why their sunscreens tend to be so popular. So the Pareto actually has Centella asiatica, madecassoside, asiatic acid, madecassic acid to soothe, condition, and protect your skin. Of course, you would realize that it has both UVA and UVB protection, and because their sunscreen has gotten so popular in the Western world, I guess that's why they not only included their PA rating, but they actually put broad spectrum on their tube so that people know they are getting UVA protection as well. The sunscreen is also described as a highly moisturizing and blendable formula that melts instantly into the skin upon application. It is fragrance-free, it is alcohol-free, they don't have any essential oils, parabens, oxybenzones, which is one of the chemical filters that tend to be irritating for a lot of people, and they don't have any artificial dyes, mineral oils, and again, this is information that a lot of people with sensitive skin is really interested in knowing. They say that the sunscreen is lightweight in texture, leaving no white cast, and is designed for easy reapplication, whether with makeup or without. So of course, from the time I read this description and I looked at, some people's use of the sunscreen, I was a little bit hesitant. On my own, I would not have purchased the sunscreen because I immediately recognized that it may not be the best thing for my skin type, but of course I did it for you guys. So you would get an idea of what the sunscreen would look like on skin of color, particularly my skin tone. And if you're darker than me, this is a sunscreen as well that will leave no white cast because of how it's designed. What I like as well is that this is a hybrid sunscreen, and that was one of the things that I actually got into when trying a lot more sunscreens during 2020, in that I started using sunscreens that combine both physical and chemical filters in their sunscreen formulations. The things that I absolutely loved about this sunscreen is it was absolutely easy to apply. But from the time I started to apply it, while it melted so easily into the skin, I absolutely could feel that moisturizing feel on the skin. So if I personally have to use this one on my oily acne prone skin, I will skip moisturizer. There are tons of beautiful moisturizing ingredients in this one, so you don't have to worry if you do skip moisturizer. Because of that finish, which is more satin to dewy, I would recommend the sunscreen if you have normal to dry skin. Now, I did mention to you that I actually have a preference for mineral sunscreens because of the potential irritation, and I love this Pareto sunscreen. I experienced zero irritation with my eyes, with my skin, nothing burned. In terms of my use, it was absolutely pleasant. Coming down to the end of the day, oils definitely comes through when I use this sunscreen, and therefore this is a sunscreen that I will actually use out at home, not when I'm wearing makeup, but it was actually designed to also be used under makeup. So if you are normal to dry, then I think this sunscreen might work really well for you. The next sunscreen is the one that actually became viral in 2021. So when Pareto was down and out, this one just totally took it and ran with it. Their sunscreen was verified and people didn't have to be concerned about that, and that's this sunscreen. This is the Isentry Hyaluronic Acid Watery Sun Gel, and again, based on my ability to read ingredients and look at the descriptions of sunscreens, this was one that I actually would not necessarily use on myself, but again, your girl have used. It says that it is a chemical subblock sunscreen to protect your skin from UV rays. a 4-season moisture lotion like sun gel that absolutely reduces white cast. It contains active, naturally derived ingredients to moisturize your skin and relieve skin stress. So that means it's actually soothing, and it does contain those types of ingredients. This one is actually formulated with ceramide to protect your skin against dryness and to replenish skin moisture. It contains 8 types of hyaluronic acid to lock in moisture and retain skin firmness and moisturization. This one is also alcohol free. It is also essential oil free. Some of those additional ingredients that might be important for you to know that's in this one is Centella asiatica extract. It also contains niacinamide, Hotelier cordata. There are also several antioxidants. It is packed with a lot of great ingredients for your skin. Now, why would Sheri try an all-chemical sunscreen? And that's where I need to mention something to you when it comes to the chemical filters that are used in a lot of Asian sunscreens. The filters that are used in Asia, Japan, and even Europe are way more advanced, newer technology, and actually more stable chemical filters than the ones that are actually already FDA approved in the US. It's important for me to mention that because the FDA takes forever to approve new filters, but these newer technology filters have been designed to actually work a little bit better for skin sensitivity, and therefore that's why I actually got into trying these, because that's when I realized, wait a minute, I can actually get away with using some of these newer Asian filters, things like Uvinol, Tinosorb. You will see those types of names in some Korean and Japanese and European sunscreens, and my skin does so well with those. I will actually tell you about the product that made me realize that coming up shortly. But let me tell you about my experience with the Isentry. I was absolutely completely surprised because this one was an all-chemical sunscreen and I got zero irritation. I actually tried this one before the Pareto because the Pareto is one of the newest sunscreens in my collection, and I had zero irritation, no burning around my eyes, and I do apply sunscreen around my eyes, none on my skin. My skin handled this beautifully. The Isentry is a gel type lotion, if that makes any sense. It absorbs into the skin so quickly and beautifully, but this one absolutely has a dewy finish. It is not the best sunscreen for my skin type in terms of oily skin. Again, I recommend this one if you are normal to dry. I will finish the tube, however. Sunscreen does not waste by me. I will probably skip moisturizer, or I will apply tint up moisturizer, but I'll just use it at home when the extra dewiness really doesn't bother me. I wouldn't wear it on my skin with makeup on top, but if you are normal to dry, this is a sunscreen that you may absolutely love. And if you are someone like me for whom chemical sunscreens or traditional chemical filters may have irritated your skin, irritated your eyes, you might want to take a look at some of these sunscreens that are using these newer chemical filters, because my eyes and my skin does absolutely well with them. Next is the sunscreen that changed my life, and I think this is a sunscreen that is hugely underrated. This is the TM My Signature Vita Red Sunscreen SPF 50 PA+++. This is the sunscreen that got me into trying chemical Asian sunscreens. This one is a hybrid sunscreen, again, meaning it has both mineral and chemical filters, but it was because I was encouraged by a friend to actually try this. I fell in love with it, absolutely loved this sunscreen, and then I realized, wait a minute, I can probably actually try chemical sunscreens. But before we get into that, let me just tell you what this sunscreen is described as. It says it is a vitamin-infused sunscreen with powerful SPF 50 and PA+++ sun protection. It is enriched with aloe extract, vitamin C, vitamin E to soothe, hydrate, and revitalize delicate skin. It is actually recommended for the whole family to use throughout the year. It means that they also recommend this for children. And when it comes to Korean sunscreens and Korean skincare in general, they usually go through skin irritation tests, and they will actually have those results available, and that's why they can make these types of claims or make these types of suggestions in terms of the use of their products. This one is a hybrid sunscreen. However, it differs from the Pareto and the Isentry in that it does contain some fragrance. This one also contains ethanol somewhere around the middle line of the ingredients list, and that means that there is an alcohol component of the sunscreen. This one is a lotion type sunscreen, and that ethanol is there to help with the viscosity as a solvent for the sunscreen formula, so it makes it absorb into the skin and spread on the skin much more easily. The fragrance on the sunscreen is Like, it's slightly floral. It doesn't bother me at all. In fact, it enhances my application experience because I love the scent of this. But this one is a sunscreen that has a natural finish. It is not a matte finish. It is not a dewy finish. It is just a natural finish. It works beautifully. It looks beautiful on my skin. I have gone through multiple tubes of this one. This one is definitely a repurchase. But what I love about this sunscreen is that this is a sunscreen that I could recommend, not just for oily skin, but even if you have normal combination, even dry skin, this sunscreen will work for you. It is one of those sunscreens that I think a lot of people will get away with. Unless you actually have an issue with fragrance and you're looking for something that is fragrance free, then this one wouldn't be for you. But otherwise, this one also works beautifully under makeup. I use it a lot under my makeup. In fact, I'm wearing this one today and it just wears and looks so good on my skin. If you are looking for a starting point when it comes to probably trying some of these new chemical filters in sunscreens, then I recommend trying the TM one. It is a sunscreen that I think is hugely underrated but amazing. This might be a good place to start. And the last sunscreen I want to review in this video is actually a Japanese sunscreen. This is by Biore, a brand from Japan that has a long history of producing excellent sunscreens. This is the Biore Uv, and I don't know if I'm saying this word properly, but it's Athleticism, I believe. The Athleticism Skin Protect Milk SPF 50 PA+++++. This one is pretty interesting, and again, I wanted to share it with you because this is a sunscreen that I came to love during 2021. So this particular sunscreen is described as a silky, milky texture, packing powerful sun protection, and is fitted with the unique Tough Boost technology, making it extremely water resistant and sebum resistant. So this is one of those sunscreens that I mentioned in terms of making the claims when it comes to water resistant. The TM, for example, is not a water resistant sunscreen. The Biore is, and there is a difference in terms of how they are formulated and the technology that's actually used in the sunscreen. This one again is another hybrid sunscreen. It contains both mineral and chemical filters. This Biore sunscreen is a milky, liquidy texture, and that's one of the things I absolutely enjoy about this one because it means that in one application, I can apply my full quarter teaspoon. This one does not require me to layer it on to help the application of the sunscreen. It just blends into the skin so easily, so quickly. It will feel kind of slippery, but that's because this one actually uses a certain type of silicone in the sunscreen. That silicone is eventually going to settle. It will evaporate, so it will leave your skin feeling smooth and silky, but not slippery, if you understand what I'm saying. That is actually a feature about it that I think makes this an excellent makeup priming sunscreen. So this is one I love to use under makeup. However, this one does contain alcohol, a much higher content of alcohol. A lot of Japanese sunscreens contain a lot of alcohol, and it's one of the reasons why I don't use them and try them as much, because I definitely do try to control how much of the drying alcohols touch my skin, because historically that is one of the ingredients that can potentially irritate my skin. So this is not one of those sunscreens that I use every single day. I will generally tend to reach for this sometimes when I'm doing makeup because I love that, or especially if I'm going to be heading out and I'm going to be in direct sun, because I know that it's going to give me that resistance in terms of sebum and sweat. So I definitely reach for it in those cases. But that being said, I have gone through quite a bit of this sunscreen. I have never experienced any irritation to my skin, so it's really good. I have been enjoying it, and I actually recommend this one for people between normal, combination and oily skin. I would not recommend this one if you have drier skin, because that alcohol may be a little bit drying for you, and this particular sunscreen is actually designed to help control sebum, which as a dry skin person you probably don't have a lot of. However, that being said, it's important to note that they did consider the fact that there should be some hydrators and moisturizing ingredients in this. So this actually also contains hyaluronic acid and royal jelly extract, among other things, to allow the sunscreen to not dry out your skin. I don't have that problem personally. I just wouldn't recommend it for drier skin types, but on oily skin, it is amazing. So have you tried any of these that I reviewed in this video? Will you try any? Have any of them been on your radar? We've come to the end of this video, but stay tuned because I have a lot more sunscreen reviews to share with you and demos. I hope this video is helpful. I'll see you guys soon again. Take care. Bye.